Welcome to my pile of scrap wood. Have you ever asked yourself, do I really need another drop spindle? Well, I'm here to answer that question. And yes, the answer is yes. Now, for the longest time, I've been looking to try a Turkish spindle. I think they look beautiful and they're quite convenient if you're spinning and plying on the go, especially if you're traveling. And that is what I'll be doing a lot of this year, I believe. So I would like to carry something with me that's a little bit compact and just easygoing. Now, I do have some spindles that I made before, and they're those that you see here in the back, and they're drop spindles. They're quite long, like this long, and they work so. That's how I learned how to spin. I made my own spindles and then tried it out and discovered that I liked it, and I went down that rabbit hole. But anyway, I am thinking that I have plenty of scrap wood that I can use to try to make the tiniest spindle so that I can spin some very thin lace weight yarn and then just take it with me when I travel. I don't want to carry way too much. I mean, I'm already having like my work stuff and then all the other things you carry when you travel. So I want to make something compact, something that I can take in a small bag, and that's it. I have seen some very beautiful Turkish spindles online, and I saw that some of the smallest ones weigh from 8 to 10 grams, and they are for lace weight or the thinnest thread you can spin. I think they're hard level spindles, but if you're not learning something new, then you're not living. So we're gonna try to make something tiny, and well, this will be a test of my skills, I guess, wood making skills. The smaller I manage to make this, the harder it's gonna get, I think. So we'll see. But let's have a look at my scrap wood pile. Here we go. I have contained all of my trash wood in this box, conveniently labeled clamps. Don't ask me. And in here I have a bit of everything. We have been renovating our home, so I have a bunch of lists, shelves, random planks, and then some random pieces from an antique wheel. About 2 years ago, I got gifted 2 antique wheels, and they were going to the trash. The lady that was throwing them out, she asked me if I wanted them, and of course I said yes. I thought back in the day when I didn't know anything about wheels that I could use the parts from one wheel to repair the other. But of course, they are antique wheels. Antique wheels are antique, they are handmade, they are unique. So obviously one piece won't fit into the other unless you like somehow make a Frankenstein wheel, and well, that didn't happen. What I did is I disassembled one of the wheels that was really bad and saved all the pieces that I could save, and then I kept the other wheel, and I've actually used the other wheel quite a lot, but it is very low capacity and it's already falling apart. So I intend to give that away at some point, since I have my new Kromsky wheel, and in addition to that I have another antique wheel that actually works. It's just that it only has one bobbin. In any case, I have nice looking pieces like this, and a bunch of sticks that were part of the wheel, like this. And then this long one that at some point I think I could use as a distaff. I didn't have the heart to throw this stuff out. But if we look back at this, I think this would be a great start for the making of a spindle. I think you could probably even make one of those, what are they called? Help me. Those bottom supported spindles, because you would just need to like make the bottom part a little bit pointy and then the top is already done basically. Like this is ready to go as that. But we're not doing that. We are doing a Turkish spindle, and I can use this as the shaft and then get some of the thicker pieces of wood to do the body. Now we did say that we're making an 8 to 10 gram spindle, so this is way too much. I got my work cut out for me. Let's just get to it. The creative process is a messy thing, but it works for me, even if it's ugly like this. Don't worry about it. I've slowly been working on this during the evenings, and I'm really pleased with the progress now. Just here's the before and after. And I have to say that I'm really enjoying the detail there from the original wheel, and where you see that I've been carving at it. Like the wood looks great. I had initially thought about sanding it to make it more even, but I think this gives it such a nice character. So I think I'm only gonna surface treat it with wax or something later on. So yeah. Now we initially said that, or I initially said that I wanted to make something that's 8 to 10 grams. Well, that was a lie. Yeah, that's 11 grams already, because this chunk here basically adds, I think, about 5 grams. So it'll be a lot heavier. I had thought, okay, maybe I'll just get rid of it and stick to the original plan. And I did start with something like that and came out with this ugly thing. And I'm abandoning this. No way. This looks beautiful. It has character. And I like looking at it. So change of plans. But let's think about the body now. I think that's going to be a lot more challenging, because first it has to fit through the shaft here, and I also have to make a hole on the side, and find wood that is thick enough for that but not too heavy, because it's kind of short. I wonder if I made a mistake by cutting it a bit too short. We'll see. Let's get to it. I've gathered a few items here to see what possibilities I have. I have a bunch of spare pieces like this, but they are very thin. To start with, I need to make a hole going this way, but then I also need to make a hole going that way. This is way too thin for that. Maybe I'll use this to make the piece going in that direction. So more of the same here. This is teak. That's teak as well. Shadow drawings of when I was trying to make a shuttle here a while back. And yeah, I think this is teak as well. These pieces are way too thin. And then I have this random piece here with, I think it's glue. Anyway, this might work. It's thick enough that I think this will go in through here without cracking the wood, and then thick enough that I can add a hole to add the other piece here as well. I'll have to sand it a bit and get rid of all these ugly parts, but it's not too heavy either, and it's already almost, I think, the ideal size. I was using this to wrap sandpaper and sand stuff, but see, now it gets new life. It's gonna be part of my spindle. Let's see. Let's make a sketch. Or not a sketch, but let's try to draw something out. Okay, I think the length is actually perfect already, and I think I'll cut a little bit at a time. Like this. Alright, it'll end up being something like this, but I will get a ruler and measure it to make sure that it's in the center, as well as the hole that I'm going to put on here. I think I'm going to have to start very small with these drills, even smaller than this, and then I'll drill a bunch of holes and then make it to size. And I think I'll start with the drilling first, because if it's going to crack, it's going to crack while I'm drilling it, not when I'm sanding it or removing these parts from the side. To the workshop I go. Well, that happened. I can't say I'm surprised because it's some of that soft wood and I was going at it pretty aggressively, but I was almost done. I was, and then I just had to do a little bit more, and of course it cracked. But anyway, it's glued and it's drying up. I can't do anything about it today, so I think it's just as well I can come back to it tomorrow with fresh eyes and then figure out what I need to do next. In the meantime, I think I'll continue my knitting, and I still have my stash to work on, but I have been craving some spinning again, which is a problem because I spin more than I knit. So this project is mocking me. I'm taking it personally now. I mean, this is now glued together, it's fine, but there's still quite a lot of work and quite a lot of wood that still needs to be shaped, and the holes need to be made bigger. I mean, here's this part here and it doesn't even fit all the way through. So either I will have to shave off more of this or make this larger. I would rather keep this as is, maybe some small amount of shaving, but not that much. But if I make this any thinner, it might break as well, and I don't want that. So I think I have to start from scratch with this part because it's too small, and I think if I make it larger, it's gonna crack again. Let's go back to the workshop. I've moved my mess into the living room because the lighting in the workshop is not good enough. Anyway, I have started with this here. That's the piece that I glued yesterday, and I wasn't feeling it, the same fit. So then I started with this, thinking that, okay, if I start with something bigger, then I can sand it or plane it to appropriate size. But no, I did not enjoy how this looked. So for the amount of effort that I'm putting it on it, I thought I'll get a proper piece of wood. And so I got this oak bar here. I've made a hole here, and then there's a slot here for the other piece, which will be this here. And now the issue is that, well, oak is rather heavy, so this is not going to be a light spindle. It'll end up being something like this, but I still need to work on this and make it as small as I can. And then I wonder if I made this too short again, but we'll see. Okay, the basics are there now. I just need to continue shaping it. Yeah. And I'm trying to avoid a machine tool, so I'm just using this and knife. I have a much larger planer, but this is nice. All right. Here we go. Multiple evenings have passed and I have slowly been working my way towards this almost finished spindle. I think it looks great. I wanted, of course, to make it smaller, but I think since it's the first time I make this, there was a lot of trial and error, particularly on the material side of it. I had to experiment with multiple types of wood. I started with like this soft wood, then I also played around with like some leftover teak pieces, but it was way too soft, and in the end I ended up with some leftover oak pieces. I had been avoiding the oak for the longest time because it is hardwood, but it wasn't as hard as I thought. And sure, it takes a lot more effort. I did use multiple evenings both carving this out and sanding it, but it was worth the effort. The wood looks great, it looks sturdy, it feels nice. So that was a lesson learned for me. And okay, I knew this from before, but I'll mention it again. It's really nice when you have sharp tools. Blunt blade and dull sanding paper does you no good. And most of the hand tools that I used, okay, I used the hand saw, and I did use some of the machine tools to cut the holes. But other than that, the shaping was done with hand tools, this very tiny planer, and a blade, a very sharp blade. So that's what I did in the evenings, and I thought that was kind of fun. I've been doing a lot of knitting, and this was like a nice variation, and it gave me experience. I think a bit more positive about starting to repair my antique wheel, because now I know how this type of wood works, or how I can handle it if I do things by hand. Anyway, I really want to finish this spindle because I will be doing some traveling soon, and I would really like to take it with me and spin in the evenings after work. So what's left over is, of course, some waxing. I have linseed oil wax, which is basically linseed oil with beeswax. So I need to smear the whole thing with this, let it sit for a while, let the whole thing suck in all the goods, and then I'll come back to it and polish it and make it look really nice. Hopefully I'll be able to try it out with some of the silk. I just have to get over it, and if I like waste some of it during this trial and error, then well, that was that. I did spend quite a lot of time sanding the body to make it a little bit more even, but the actual shaft is not sanded. I really like how these carving dents look. Looks like an acorn. I really like that, so I'm just gonna leave it as is. Here's some linseed oil wax. And I just have a leftover fiber cloth. Oh, this smells very natural. I have another type of industrial wax. I feel like this is a lot better. And see how the grain just comes out. I would never be able to get this beautiful looking grain from this piece here. And by the way, this was also a trash piece. It was like a leftover list with a bunch of holes, and maybe you can't see it there, but there's like a tiny hole there, and I've put some wood filler in there, and now it's barely noticeable. So that's nice. Wow, that was a lot of wax. It went a long way. Oh, this is a nice before and after. If I were to do this again, I would start by making a way smaller hole here, and maybe a wider piece so that I can make it a bit more curved and way smaller. This is way bigger than I had initially planned, but it's still great. It's good. It's all good. This is some other wood. I think it must be like pine or something. I thought of dyeing it, or like using one of my water-based tints, but let's go all natural. Also because I thought if I use some tints, maybe they will rub off on the fiber, and I don't want that, especially since I'm doing the silk, or at least I plan to with this. It's much later in the evening now, and I've had my dinner, and these pieces have been marinating in the wax. So let's buff it out. Now I realize that some of the parts that I did in the workshop, I did not really film. I did start filming them, but the light down there, it's so bad. It did not look good. Like somehow the frame rate and the light was making it flicker quite a lot on video, so I just decided not to include that. Maybe next time, but I was very impatient towards the end, and I didn't want to spend more time trying to fix it. I wanted to focus on the actual project. So ooh, very nice. I think this for sure could benefit from another layer of wax, but I am way too impatient. I have been working on this for almost 2 weeks now, and this is the first evening when I feel like I have a little bit extra energy, so I would really like to try this out. I have been at it for half hour or more than that. I've been trying to get this spindle started because it's hard. I'm trying it with some silk, not the smartest of choices, but this is what I have now. And the reason why I made this spindle is because I want to make a tiny skein of fine weight silk, pure silk, take it with me. So then I need to learn how to do it. It took a while, but I think I got the hang of it now. There's enough there that it's not slipping off and it's not breaking off either, and I think I got a good tempo now. And the spindle has like a really good momentum to it. It's not nasty and wobbly, and it just keeps going for a long time, like longer than I need it to go, because now at this point I need to start wrapping it again. I'm sure it'll be better if I start spinning standing up, but just showing you guys. Trying to make a nice wrapping here and confusing myself along the way. Don't mind me. Yeah, I think this is pretty cool actually. Some of my creations are sometimes a bit Frankenstein, but this, I'm proud of this. If I saw this at some market and then somebody was selling it, I would buy something like this. I'm proud of it. I'll leave it at that for now. It's pretty late in the evening and it's winter here, so I'm never gonna get good light. I will showcase this at some point in another video, or I'll take you guys along when I travel and show you this in daylight. But for now, I'll leave it at that. Thank you for watching. See you next time.